Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America. Ooh, where are we today? Maybe not where we normally are, but somewhere in the great country, these United States. We are here. That guy is Blake, the eccentric Walley. You got to follow him. Blake Walley is on thenextlevelnews.com. And he's on X, formerly known as Twitter. He is at TV's Blake, W-A-L-L-E-Y, Blake Walley. Blake, how are you today, sir?
Doing well so far, Brian. Great to be here for our Tuesday show.
Absolutely. Thanks for being patient as we were getting the studio up and going. Thank you to everyone out there watching. My name is Brian Engelman. It is Tuesday, October the 17th. 2023. We're going to cover the following stories. It seems like, God, we got to find something else to talk about, but it seems like this
Brian, you're on the remote microphone check.
I have another microphone elsewhere. Is it bad? Is it serviceable?
It's not bad. It's serviceable, but you definitely it's downgraded from usual, but it's manageable.
Yeah, I could correct that in about 5 minutes. Maybe you could take charge for 5 minutes on one story.
Rant for 5 minutes. Okay. I could do the headlines while you want to grab your microphone. I don't care.
That's good. Yeah.
I'll go look at the
caption. Let's do that. Yes, let's do that. Exactly. Okay. Run through the headlines and then maybe just kind of give us Blake's takes on where we're at in the universe. So here's an impromptu monologue, sir.
Okay, well, here's my impromptu monologue. We're going to try to discuss many of the important hot button issues of the day without being entirely focused on the disaster that's going on in the Middle East, but I'm sure that's going to take up the majority of the time. But there's so many things to talk about with that, as it could be the end of our civilization as well. So, yeah, that was one of the headlines. And we'll take a look. I think Brian added a few captions, so let's see, just to mix it up a little bit. But here we go. Can the United States afford to enter another war? And could a ground offensive face retaliation from Iran? Should Israel consider the Samson option? And by Samson option, that's it's a nuclear option. How about anti-Zionism is genocide and every Jew is a Zionist? These are all agree to disagree questions. So feel free to chime in the comments on whether you agree or disagree. And Brian and I will give our takes. How about we should wipe out Gaza and take their refugees? Some have said that we should do that. How about supporters of Hamas should be jailed or deported? How about this for Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu? Do we think that the defense of Israel was deliberately dropped to protect Netanyahu? Agree or disagree? How about the Hamas attack on Israel was worse than 10 9/11s? Do you agree or disagree? I think that is most of the, I think that's all the questions I have. I think Brian was going to add a few more. There's always a few more, but everything's kind of paling in comparison to the major story, the quagmire that could end our way of life, especially if we're all throwing into a war. So anyway, we'll be here for a while. I'm also going to talk about the speaker, Jim Jordan. I don't know if that has been finalized yet. They're still doing the votes. He's just short and of the required number of votes. And we'll see. There's some neocon obstructionists, it appears, that are bitter about McCarthy. So here's their chance to stand up and obstruct themselves. Anyway, we'll take a look. And hello, Kenneth and Dreamer Ultra. We should be underway momentarily as Brian is going to go search for his microphone so we can have even better audio. Kenneth wants to know where we are at on that haircut. It is coming soon. I would say by the end of this year, I am going to snip most of this. I'm going to end this phase of long hair. It's been fun, but it also gets in the way. It has a few issues, but it's coming. So I think 2024 is going to be, I'm going to be back to maybe short to medium hair. I don't know if I want to go back to old, because it's just a lot more maintenance. Long hair, one of the pros is that I can just let it do whatever it wants. I don't have to manage. I don't have to get all the gels and stuff like that and go get a haircut every month. I haven't had a haircut in several months, but that's another story. But anyway, coming soon. I'm going to go back to more a professional look. This is my COVID era look. So after they shut down all the barber shops. And hello, Timothy. Glad to have you guys. And for anybody else joining in the archives later, we'll see if Brian is almost back or not before we start digging into the stories. Brian might not be able to find it. It's not the end of the world, Brian. And I actually prefer to just do actually, let's do a little. I got a quick question for the audience right now. And thank you for your loyal support. But what do you think the ideal time should be for this show? 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, or just free for all? Doesn't matter. I'm curious to get everyone's takes.
Can you hear me, Blake?
That's your
different. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's definitely an improvement. That's the old blue snowball there. Is that mine or is that yours?
No, it's my dad's.
Oh, okay, nice. I used
to
have
a snowball. Yes, it is a snowball.
It is. All right, well, that's a decent little $50 microphone.
So yeah, I heard you talking about hair. I'm in between haircuts. I really wanted to get something a couple of days ago, but I missed. However, I think the Cleveland Browns just had one of their most significant wins in franchise history. I think it's that big. Our defense is #1 in the league, and we're doing things that has never been seen in the NFL before. We've only given up 1,002 yards through 5 full games. That's only happened twice, and that was 70 and 71 when it was just ground and pound, a totally different game. It was more like rugby. It wasn't like football. The Cleveland Browns are that good at stopping people from succeeding, and you can win a championship with an average offense and an incredible defense. It's like pitching beats good hitting in the playoffs with baseball.
Would you say it's like the 2000 Ravens?
Yeah, it's Trent Dilfer-esque, of course. Trent Dilfer is like the #1 thing you think of when you're like, well, if he can win a championship, anybody can. Well, you can if you have an amazing defense, and the Cleveland Browns do. So I had a chance to go to that game, San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, you were there?
Cleveland.
You were there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh, I was there. I
didn't see you on TV, Brian. I watched part of it.
You did. You know that guy that missed the field goal? That was me.
Yeah.
I got an extra helmet. I just trotted out there.
You were blowing it out of the way. Wide right. All right. Good job.
There actually are commercial or videos of people where they have vacuum cleaners up there, so they're trying to take it and like it happened and they're going bonkers. But one of the more significant wins in franchise history. We are on the map. We are 3-2. Our defense is #1 by far in the league. The next best team with third down conversions is like double what we do. It's not even – we're playing a different game right now. So anyway, I'm okay repping the Cleveland Browns is all I'm getting at. So anyway, now that we've discussed haircuts and the frivolity of breads and circuses, maybe we could delve into the crazy, chaotic nonsense of geopolitics. It seems like during the Trump administration, we were able to kind of stay – I don't know. It really wasn't a huge pressing issue like it has been lately. So that is why today's topic of the show, the title of today's show is the U.S. can afford 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 simultaneous wars. Yeah, that's what Janet Yellen says. So let's get into the news.
And Brent, I want to double check that. Just wanted to make sure you were on the settings and that was your default microphone for the time. Unless it was my imagination.
Is it on this microphone? Is it different?
I don't know. I would say maybe not. I'm starting to have my doubts. It's serviceable. But you're on a laptop? I just want to
Let me go to Blue Snow. Different. Right now?
Yeah.
In a better way? It's a better sound?
Now it's better. Okay, maybe that was just my imagination before. Okay.
No, I just switched the audio input. I thought it automatically did it.
No, it does not.
Now it's better.
Now it's much better. All right, perfect.
Excellent. Now we can get into today's show. Thank you, everybody. So that is today's number one question. Blake, agree or disagree that the United States can afford to enter another war?
I am going to disagree with that. It'd be different that we had like a big surplus, but what are we, like $33 trillion in debt already? So how do we say we can afford to enter another war if we're 33 trillion in debt and we'd have to borrow more money? That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. But we got to get the double click here. According to Janet Yellen, America can absolutely afford another war. So if she was here, Brian, she would disagree with me. It would be the agree to disagree. I would say disagree. She says we can afford to fund Israel's war with Gaza in addition to Ukraine's war with Russia. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told Sky News in an interview, America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and to support Israel's military needs, and we can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia. I think she should probably stay out of these major issues. But yes, since they were curious about the funding, they decided to ask
what this
her.
all means. Paul Tudor-Jones, the famed investor, was on CNBC this week, and he said, "This is the most threatening and challenging geopolitical environment that I've ever seen. At the same time, the US is in its weakest fiscal position since World War II, with debt to GDP at 122%. Can America, can the West afford another war at this time?"
I think the answer is absolutely. America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and to support Israel's military needs. And we also can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia. And look, the American economy is doing extremely well.
Yeah, I'm sure it's doing really well as they have to continually lie about all of the numbers.
So
They're coming out, the inflation numbers, yeah.
So the inflation numbers, America's not doing well. Groceries are through the roof.
Yeah, but they don't count those. They just magically take those out of the equation.
Right. So let's count them. They're saying that the economy's doing well when interest rates are double on a home mortgage now. Your groceries they're what? They're about double? They're 50% more? Would you just say they're double at this point? Triple? Double?
Let's just say 50% higher. I would feel comfortable doing that.
I've never had $400 grocery runs before. This is a new phenomenon. This is insane.
Yeah.
Housing, whether you're renting or whether you're owning a home and making a monthly mortgage payment, that monthly expense is through the roof for everybody. Everywhere. Gas is through the roof. Heating and cooling, energy prices are through the roof. Clothing, everything is through the roof. And she has the audacity to get in front of who was that? Was that BBC? Was that?
I think it was Sky News, probably Australia.
Sky News. The audacity to try to gaslight us and say, that's the meme of what is it? The dog and everything's burning. He's like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Everything's on fire, but this is fine.
It's the confidence game. Oh, yeah, sure we can afford it. All the war we want. Blank check.
Yeah, we can afford it. Okay, please.
She should have retired years ago. It's embarrassing.
I mean, she's this elderly looking, it's like she reminds me of a third grade geography teacher, or maybe like a like a fifth grade mathematics teacher or something in an elementary school. Just this kindly old lady with this goofy haircut, like something in a time warp from 35 years ago. It's like something you'd see from the mid 80s. And this woman is bringing out the mid 80s policies as well. Yeah, we should be in endless wars everywhere.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right. So I guess the answer is no, we can't afford another war. What else? What are other people saying about it? Like what? I mean, I guess is this a party line thing, or the Israel situation has tried to bring enough Republicans in to defend Israel because they have enough of the Democrats that are still about funding Ukraine. They had to pull 25% from both sides to get to 51% and push it forward. Is that where we're at? Or is it like a mass mutiny against all of this stuff? Has the tide turned? What are people saying?
No, I don't know. That's the only really article that I've found on that. But yeah, we're worrying about funding it. Like, how would we get into a war? We really, I don't think should, unless we absolutely have to, or if it's, a defensive war and it doesn't matter at that point. But
well,
yeah.
the reason I put this together with the title that I have for today's show, the U.S. can afford 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 simultaneous wars, because there's more going on. Taiwan is ready to pop. Taiwan is sitting right there. Right there. Aren't we going to be sucked into a third front in Taiwan? After Taiwan, when the sleeper cells activate, aren't we going to be at war on the homeland? Millions of foreign invaders are here in America during a time of, go from city to city to city. You're seeing it's not quite the George Floyd thing, but now it's boiled down to the Antifa types with one flag. And then, I don't know, another type with another flag. You're seeing the Israeli flag, the Palestinian flag. You're hearing about Hamas. You're hearing about all of this stuff. It's in the streets of our country already. Chicago, the big Los Angeles, they're all out there fighting and arguing and yelling at each other about what's been going on over there. I had a thought, Blake. I don't know if we were saying
yeah, because you were probably thinking that Janet Yellen looks like that dude from The Princess Bride, the albino. I was thinking the same thing, Brian. That's why I pulled this up.
Oh my Lord. Yeah. Do you have the side by side? Do you have that other article? Can we? Yeah,
no, I don't have that. I didn't get that much preparation in there, but yeah, one of my favorite movies, but it's always reminded me of Janet Yellen.
What is that character's name?
I guess Al Smith, the albino, but he never watched the film. He had to wear I don't know. I don't understand. Oh, he had to wear contacts that he was allergic to during the role, caused him pain, so he decided not to watch it. I don't know. It's strange. One of these random articles. Anyway, but a little fun fact about Princess Bride. Okay, well, that's where Janet Yellen came from. Okay. That's her brother. That's her twin brother.
Right. That's pretty good. And just for historical purposes, this is Janet Yellen. I clicked share. I think it should be up there. I don't know if I have to triple click it. It left the page. Yeah, that's thank you. Yeah, that's uncanny. The side by side, Blake. We are really getting into like recycled characters at this point, aren't we? Like this part of the simulation, there's too many doppelgangers, there's too many coincidences, there's too many deja vu. It's like we've been here, we've done this before. It's like the simulation only has so many channels, variations, and then you just really do start recycling character types. Have you given any thought to that we're just sitting in a simulation, a video game?
Yeah, I think we are. At this point, it's getting so absurd. This has just got to be fake, Brian. It can't be real. We're just sitting here on the outskirts of the galaxy, being run over with this weird little dystopian crazy land.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
let's continue our trip down crazy land lane. Oh, the idea I was going to come up with is because we were trying to figure out what's the solution. Like how do we get this Middle Eastern conflict to stop? There's groups like Hamas or Hezbollah. You can go down the list. There's several. They have instantly vowed forever they will fight until the end of time. They will never let Israel exist there. It's over. They must not. The land was stolen at a certain point, and you may not be there. We will always kill you, remove you. You must go. But you know what? Like Israel in Judaism, the overlap of these three major religions of Islam, of Judaism, of Christianity, they're all right there in the Middle East. They're all right there in Jerusalem. But I mean, in Judaism, they didn't consider Jerusalem and that particular area and Jesus Christ. They didn't consider him holy. He was a guy and he was there. But and some people are very venomous to Christians and Christianity and Jesus Christ anyway. Maybe Christians should have to have that area. And then you have to take the Palestinians and the Israelis. Maybe if they can't get along, neither of them can have it. It's King Solomon. If we're going back in biblical times, we're going to the Temple Mount. We're talking about the Sea of Galilee and all the things with the. Maybe it's Solomon's choice. There's two women who claim this is my baby. He says, well, it's going to be hard to figure out which one of you to believe. Therefore, I'm going to cut the baby in half, and I'll give each of you half. And the one woman says, all right, there we are. The other woman says, no, don't kill my baby. Anything. I'd rather she have my baby than my baby be chopped in half. Therefore you must be the real mother. That's the Solomon tale. And if Israel and Palestine can't grow up and stop fucking killing each other, maybe none of you get to play in the sandbox. Out. Both of you out. Now it's a Christian site. We gave them a shot. We've been trying since 1948. Trump tried really hard with the Abraham Accords. Things were fine until they weren't. Maybe they both have to relinquish the sandbox and they both have to get out because they're both doing some really bad shit. By all accounts, I haven't seen a single side go, well, my side is pristine in all of this. There is none of that. None of that. What do you think about that idea?
Okay, I like that idea. So let's remove Hamas and we'll remove the Zionists. And then we can let the Hasidic Orthodox Jews go back in there as well as peaceful Muslims. And they can all get along because they've got along very well in those old parts of the country. Syria is a great example of that. They can get along, but the Zionists are a different breed. And Hamas are, militant and aren't very. I can't choose either side. They're both bad to me, and it's been nothing but fighting. So let's take them both out. There we go. Let's
also define terms. Let me get a good definition of Hamas, and let me get.
And by taking them out, I don't mean genocide. I mean removing them from the region,
out of the sandbox.
They
won't stop fighting each other. They're two children. Since 1948, we've been asking you to just exist in this toy box, and you will not stop throwing things at each other. Both of you out, I tells you. Okay, well, I want to get the definition, the terms of Hamas and the terms of a Zionist, so we can kind of be clear about what it is we're discussing. Let's get into the next topic.
Okay.
All right, Blake. So let's get into the next topic. Anti-Zionism is genocide, and every Jew is a Zionist. Is that something you would agree with, Blake, or something you would disagree with? Anti-Zionism is genocide, and every Jew is a Zionist.
I am going to disagree with that. So let me pull up an article. That actually came from Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL. Now, if I can get to that, here we go. Pulling it up now. Let's double. It's hard to get that because it always takes you off the screen, so you don't even notice that it's not
exactly.
Oh well, but anyway,
I heard the beep, so now it's sharing. Yes,
perfect. So, Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt says anti-Zionism is genocide and that every Jewish person is a Zionist. And he's made that claim on Sunday morning on MSNBC. Anti-Zionism, I've long said, is anti-Semitism. I was wrong. This is his quote. Anti-Zionism is genocide, and every Jewish person is a Zionist, he insisted, regardless of whether they're a religious Jew or an atheist. So
okay, I want to pause right there for 1 second.
Sure.
I went to a site and I typed in Zionist because I'm trying to understand the terms here. This one says Zionism, and I'm wondering, is this a good definition, Blake? It just says a supporter of Zionism, a person who believes in the development and protection of a Jewish nation in what is now Israel. Is that a proper definition, or is it something different?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair enough. The Zionists believe in that, yes, that new homeland for the Jews, but a lot of the regular Jews, the Hasidic, the Orthodox, do not support the nation state and the government, and especially the foreign policy of Zionism. So it's a different thing. It's whether you separate the religion from the state. So whether you're a Jew as religion, and whether you support an actual state where they have to have their own homeland, and it might be kind of a militant sort of existence, which it has been, and it has created many problems in that region. Not saying that Jews don't deserve their own land of their own, but it's been problematic, and they haven't really, I wouldn't say any of the neighbors have played nice. And I'm going to actually play, I'm going to pull, assuming I can run this video, Brian, we will try this. This is an Orthodox Jew explaining why they are against the Zionist state of Israel. Let's hopefully this will run.
I want the world to know, because we are Jewish and because we are true to our religion, we are in total opposition to the existence of the Zionist state of Israel. We have a message for this Nakba Day, for this 75 years of occupation. We want the world to know that what is being perpetrated against the Palestinian people, the oppression, the subjugation, the terrible cruelty, is not in the name of our religion. It is not in the name of the Star of David. It is not in the name of the Jewish people around the world who are true to the Jewish religion. Because we are Jewish and because we are true to our religion, we are in total opposition to the existence of the Zionist state of Israel. I call it Zionist state of Israel because it is Zionist. It is not Jewish. Judaism in the Torah forbids Jews to have our own sovereignty, our own entity since the destruction of the temples, and Jews true to the Torah never aspire or try to have our own state. We also are forbidden to kill or to steal. The whole concept of taking this land away from the Palestinian people, it is totally antithetical and is contradictory to my religion, Judaism.
Okay, so that is an explanation from an Orthodox Jew about the difference between them and the Zionist Jews, like Netanyahu.
So there are a lot of people who disagree with that opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Greenblatt or Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro. Yes, there are different sides, different opinions on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are.
But
so who's right and who's wrong? I mean, they're already there.
They're already there, but they weren't there for what, hundreds of years, maybe thousands, going back to when they that was under a lot of different empires. Roman Empire, Ottoman Empire, then it was a neutral colony run by the British. There were a lot of issues, but of course
and they were there before that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the Hebrews of the Old Testament, they had that land for like 6,000, 5,000 years.
And there's never been a Palestinian state.
Well, they've called it Palestine. It's I think the Romans started that, and it was a way to kind of sort of insulting. So yeah, that's that's an interesting issue. Yeah, whether you want to believe it's Israel or Palestine or what have you, it's that holy land there. Sacred.
So we're just down to we're down to the basic core component of this situation. They are there now. They either have to go or they don't. And if they don't, does Hamas have to go? Because there's a lot of talk of people being excited in Palestine that this group of Hamas and affiliated groups that keep pushing for violence, it doesn't represent them. At least that's what was that Mahmoud Abbas? He came out and said that recently. I don't know if you saw that.
I'm not sure. No, I don't know if I know that one.
And saying that that's not what the people want. These violent attacks it doesn't represent them. Now, the question is, do you believe Abbas or not? That's always going to be the question. In warfare, oh Lord, lying to somebody is the most benign thing you could do. I mean, warfare is to the death. So, oh no, somebody's lying, somebody's being deceitful. I'm not saying he's being deceitful. I'm saying that it's possible that the same people that want the deep state out of America want the deep state out of the Middle East. There's a lot of conversation and contention and concerns that what happened was not organic. It wasn't some small group. It was the same group of global actors that stage violent attacks to rile up the general public to get us engaged in nonstop, endless, costly, in both treasure and blood, foreign wars.
Yeah, so I don't know how this gets solved. I guess, but there's one of the questions of our day, which we should jump into, is whether we think that we should, wipe Gaza off the map and then bring in the refugees.
So
that's one part of it. Do we want to go there first? It doesn't matter. There's separate questions, but they all kind
agree
of
or disagree, Blake.
Yep.
Israel should consider the Samson. Agree or disagree, Blake? Israel should consider the Samson option. Can you say that sentence before we read that out loud once?
I write them. I don't read them. Right? I don't.
But read it once. Try to say it.
Israel should consider the Samson option. Nukes.
It's a lot of anyway.
Yeah.
Agree or disagree? Nukes should get unsheathed.
Disagree. No, that'd be the end of our civilization. I will put it on because we already talked about it. One of our favorite characters. That would be Mark Levin, who suggested this. And we'll get a double click that. Okay, here we go. Here it is. Mark Levin urging Israel to consider firing off its entire nuclear arsenal if threatened. If they're going to face annihilation, you think they have those nukes in there to collect dust? It was a contentious interview on Fox and Friends. Fox News host Mark Levin went on an unhinged rant. He's always on unhinged rants. Sunday, urging Israel to consider the Samson option. That's Israel's plan to fire off all of their nukes and initiate a global nuclear holocaust if their existence is threatened. And arrogantly scolded a fellow Fox News host for suggesting that America stay out of Israel's wars. So this is over a 4-minute clip. I don't know how much we can get into.
And then do whatever they have to do to win. So put that on the table of debate now. What are they going to do if they're surrounded? What are they going to do if 150,000 advanced missiles are going to be shot? What are they going to do if Iran gets involved? Well, they can't win a conventional war. What are they going to do? I think I know what they'd do. I know what we would do. We would destroy the enemy because otherwise we're exterminated. That's all I have to say.
So then we exterminate the entire planet because if you launched an entire nuclear arsenal, there's going to be retaliation and then nobody will. I'm not saying they should just sit there and get blown off the map, but by retaliating with an entire nuclear arsenal, that would be the end of everybody's map. We'd all be gone.
Well, Mark, you brought up nuclear war, I mean, essentially, and And also, we're talking about America's involvement. And how, as
No, we're
this
not.
expands,
No, we're not. No, we're not. No, we're not. If you drop, look.
I'm
Rachel, when
sorry.
you ask
I just,
questions like, hold on.
Yeah.
Rachel, when you ask questions like that, you need to answer them, not just ask them. What are they going to do if there's multiple front war? What are they going to do if they have kidnaps or hostages and other hostages? What are they going to do? Die, I guess.
We had a general on earlier in the show who said that our military is not doing well. You know, recruitments are low. They're not focused. He described a military that's not prepared in many ways, and yet there we are in Ukraine. We could have another front here. China's on the move. I mean, this has to be. We have to pause and think a little bit here because it just sounds like a roll towards
Rachel,
war.
Honestly, I don't know what you're talking about. What does Ukraine have to do with this, and China have to do? I'm talking about what the Israelis are going.
I'm talking. Well, the Israelis have their issue, but I'm concerned that a lot of the talk that's going on now is about involving the United States, and that's another matter. And it's not anti-Semitic to say that we as Americans should take a pause.
Okay, look, I didn't say it was anti-Semitic. That's number one. So I don't appreciate that either. Number two, the Israelis haven't asked us to get involved. They asked us to give them equipment. Number three, they have their own arsenal, which they never admit. So while you bring up all these issues to me, which kind of fogs precisely, you're the Prime Minister of Israel. You're about to send
who is Netanyahu, who is a younger, more ambitious Dick Cheney.
Hundreds of thousands of your troops in to take out the enemy once and for all. We saw the slaughter that took place. He's not thinking about Ukraine or China, neither are we. And I'm saying to you this, I'm telling you the truth. Sometimes it's tough. If Israel is going to face annihilation, you think they have those nukes in there to collect dust? I'm not even encouraging anything be done. I'm not even saying nuke them, nuke them, nuke them. I am saying Iran needs to understand, and Hezbollah needs to understand, that if you think you're going to wipe out these people, you're not. And so we have to deal with reality. And reality is, but America's involved in this. America, I said they're going to drop them. In my opinion, they might. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right, maybe we'll just pause it right there. Oh, okay. Brian, you stepped out there, but good. Okay, we got to hear most of that clip. It was, as I said, awkward and contentious, and we're talking about nuclear weapons. It's getting pretty escalated, but that's more of the same. That's what I expect from Mark Levin. This is the continued behavior. There's some things where I like where he's just, constitutional legal stuff, and he does a great job with that. But then anytime there's a war, man, this guy is just like a Bush era neocon, and he's ready to jump into every conflict, and even if it's nukes.
I can empathize with people who are born there, woke up there, they are there, and they get attacked, and they want to destroy the people that attacked them. If exterminate all of them, or you have to get along. There isn't anything else. These are eternal hostilities. I can definitely understand being really pissed off, just saying, look, Israel's Israel now. It is. I don't want to hear about I don't want to hear about what the 1940s, 1840s, or the 40s, the 0040s. It just is what it is now. It's a world that you and I, Blake, we've only known it as this. And there's been changes in that parameter within. I can empathize with just waking up in a world and you keep getting attacked. And I understand that. Now nuclear Armageddon. Yeah. I mean, just wait till we're engaged in Taiwan when China takes Taiwan. What, we're going to be there too? So we're going to be fighting in Taiwan. We're going to be fighting in Israel. We're going to be fighting in, where else are we at? Ukraine.
Yep.
We are being invaded by
Taiwan.
potentially hostile foreign forces.
Yeah.
We are emptied at the fucking homeland, our homeland. Well, I pledge eternal hostility to those people because prior to the 1600s, this used to be someone else's land. Therefore, I'm going to kill everybody here until they're gone. If they wouldn't have done all that colonialism, see, they deserve everything they're getting right now. They're evil. That's what they're saying about the Israelis that want to just defend themselves. I'm so tired of this shit.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be nice. It was great during the Trump years when we actually had no war, because that's all I've known. It seems like most of my adult life. There was the it was the Cold War growing up in the 80s, and then there was the first Gulf War, and then there was some relative peace during the Clinton years. But then, boom, 9/11 happened, and then it's just been nonstop until. It was Iraq, it was Afghanistan, and then finally Trump got in. It seemed like there was relief. This is what things should be like for a few years, and then boom, Trump gets removed. They bring in Biden, and then it's all of a sudden it's war in Ukraine. And now all of a sudden we don't want to fund Ukraine anymore, and then boom, right on cue, within days. All of a sudden, like, oh, now Hamas just made a surprise attack that nobody saw coming. And now it looks like we're going to have to get into genocide on Gaza. And then if we have to get into a war with Iran, I guess we're going to have to do that. I don't know.
Well, let me make a pivot on that particular point, Blake. That's you were just talking about how did we get here? How did this happen? And who's actually behind it all? Is this just your average Palestinian person? Is this your average Jewish person? Or is this something else? And is it very orchestrated? Let's get into it. All right, question here. Hello, Jane, by the way. Thank you for joining the show. Leave your comments. We love reading your comments. Blake, agree or disagree that defense was deliberately dropped? That's a triple word score. Defense was deliberately dropped by Benjamin Netanyahu. Agree or disagree?
Yes, actually, I do agree.
That's a bold claim to finger Bibi.
Yep. Yeah, I know it is. And I'm still going to go there. And I'm actually going to play a clip from Charlie Kirk to confirm my opinion on that. And yes, we've kind of speculated, how did they not see this coming? It seemed like they were warned. I think maybe we talked last week about
Egypt warned them.
Yeah, warned them. This is the most monitored, surveilled area. It's let me get to Charlie.
By the way, one more point about something we talked about last week. What's on the other side of the Gaza Strip? Is it Egypt?
Egypt, yeah.
And Egypt has a fence there and keeping all these people in an open air prison.
Yeah.
Israel gets lambasted and finger pointed, and they are called, what is it, apartheid? They're running an apartheid state. These people
open
are prisoners.
Apartheid, yeah.
Open air prison, right? You've said it, I've heard it a million times from a million places. Where's that same energy for Egypt? Egypt, who built a wall to keep these people out of their country. Where's the same energy of hate toward Egypt? Because they have a problem with Hamas and what's going on there as well. If we're going to be fair, they could let everybody in as a refugee. They come back in. This place is an open air prison. It's hell. They're doing the same thing, Blake. I think I'm right on that.
It's a complicated issue. Yeah, I don't know exactly why they won't take some of these refugees.
I have a hunch.
Can I afford them, or they think that there's potential terrorists? There could be any number of different things.
No, it's that they're violent extremists who are hell-bent on a suicide death cult ideology. Why would anybody want to deal with them as neighbors? Could you imagine living on the same street with these people and you share?
When Iran want them, then why aren't they shuttling them in? I don't know. it's a tough call, but I don't know why we're hearing from people that we should bring them here as the refugees.
Oh, for God's sake.
We haven't got to
All
that
right.
one. Oh, it's even Nikki Haley. That's what we'll get to that.
Nikki Haley is the worst.
I know
Her and
she's
DeSantis are the worst.
No, she's way worse than DeSantis. Come on.
No, they're both the worst.
At least
They're trying to
DeSantis
get a
is a great
DeSantis
governor.
Haley ticket.
Right.
A DeSantis Haley ticket.
No, it's not. They don't like each other.
You think any vice president likes each other?
Yeah, fuck. Cheney loves. You think Cheney loved the Bushes? Yeah, that was all the neocons.
Well, because Cheney got to be president. Bush he did a little figurehead stuff. Cheney got to run the country and run the globe. Of course, he loved that. But other than that, you're not necessarily. I mean, Biden and Harris can't stand each other. Look how that Judas Pence turned on Trump.
Right.
You got George
Bush
H.W.
Sr. probably tried to assassinate Reagan.
That's exactly what I was getting at.
Okay.
And you know that Lyndon Johnson couldn't stand Kennedy and may have gotten him killed as well so that he could take over the country. Well, I think
he was willing to take up. Like, yeah, okay, fine. You want to take out Jack? Yeah, we'll go into war with Vietnam. Sure, I'll do your bidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I see it. To me, I see it clear as day. People like Fox News and the Uniparty, they are going to try to push for a Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley Republican ticket, and they're going to try to boot Trump off. They're going to say he got convicted of something. He's under trial. He can't represent us. We know he's the man. It's going to splinter the Republican Party in half. RFK Jr. is going to splinter the Democrat Party in half. I see 4 different candidates running. I still see Trump winning in a landslide, but it's going to be a weird landslide, something that not a lot of people see coming. I don't think Biden's going to be the figurehead necessarily. My God, if they got away with the last 3 years, of course they think they could get away with another 5. These people are lunatics. But it's worked. So who's the lunatic? I mean, he didn't even campaign last time around. Everybody was in the bag. They paused all their states and just flipped them overnight. Like we're just supposed to say this is normal. Trump selling out 80,000.
Most secure election ever, Brian.
Most secure election ever. Go to CISA.gov/rumor control if you want to see some countervailing views about election activity. Anyway, Blake, so talk about Bibi Netanyahu. You think he's the type of person that would have been in on 9/11, perhaps?
Yeah, just like Cheney, like allegedly ordering some kind of stand down as the Pentagon was attacked. I'm thinking the same thing with Bibi Netanyahu, letting defenses down so they could be deliberately taxed so that they could go after their enemies. The same playbook. But don't take my word for it. Let's listen to Charlie Kirk. Let me pull this up. Okay, here we go. Double click. All right, boom. Let's listen to Charlie Kirk.
I've been to Israel many times. The whole country's a fortress. When I first heard this story...
Oh, of course. I'm going to send this to you, Brian, as a backup. And actually, you're on
I still have the
Wi-Fi.
same gut instinct.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to reboot this page. I'm going to give it one more go.
The fortress. When I first heard this story, I still have the same gut instinct that I did initially. I find this very hard to believe. I've been to that Gaza border. You cannot go 10 feet without running into a 19-year-old with an AR-15 or an automatic machine gun that is an IDF soldier. Right? The whole country is surveilled. And so let me just kind of go through this. We don't talk about Israeli politics very often, and most Americans don't know this. The last 9 months, Israel was on the brink of civil war. It's not an exaggeration. This judicial stuff, there were hundreds of thousands of Israelis taking to the streets because Bibi Netanyahu is basically redefining the Israeli constitution.
Can we pause there? Wow, to just let that sink in just a little bit. The country was on the verge of civil war, and Bibi Netanyahu is trying to make a huge power grab.
It's not an exaggeration, right? He said the judicial branch has too much power. There were protests planned this week against Netanyahu, where they anticipated tens of thousands of people to take to the streets. That's all gone, Patrick.
Think about how you unite your people into a war against a foreign enemy, because there were going to be tens of thousands of people on the streets calling for Netanyahu to step down.
Netanyahu now has an emergency government and a
Now he's got emergency war powers.
mandate to lead. I'm not willing to go so far that saying that Netanyahu knew or there was intelligence here, but I think some questions need to be asked. Was there a stand down order? Was there a stand down order? 6 hours? I don't believe it. Israel's the size of New Jersey. When I took a helicopter ride from Jerusalem to the Gaza border, it's 45 minutes. Wow. 6 hours. They're live streaming the killing of Jews. Did somebody in the government say stand down? That is a legitimate, non-conspiracy question. The whole country is the IDF. The whole country is. Yeah. And you're trying to tell me that they're going to concerts and kibbutzes and schools and by report.
Unfortunately, it cuts off there, but great questions there. Absolutely. Which just confirms it. And he's a good source because he's, very pro-Israel, but he's also being intellectually honest, unlike a guy like Ben Shapiro, who should probably register as some kind of a foreign agent. So kudos to Charlie Kirk for saying that. It's not a conspiracy. How did they just let the guard down for 6 hours when Bibi Netanyahu was under, there was problems there.
One of the initial stories, and I don't know how this bore out, but one of the initial reports was that the Iron Dome, for example, was taken out. There was a code, there was a hack, a software hack, something. They shut the power off. They get something where they disabled it. Is it possible that these things were disabled as step one? Has this been covered or discussed to anyone's satisfaction? I don't know the answer to that.
And we need to answer those questions before we get embroiled in any kind of a conflict, even if that's just supplying weapons. This has to be investigated first. But they don't want that. They just want to go, oh, dead babies, 40 dead babies, and oh, they're monsters. We got to go in there and blow it up. So
I mean, but there's no dispute that 1,300, 1,400 people were slaughtered in that day.
Yeah. Yes, a lot. 700,000. Yeah, they're calling it the 10 9/11s based on population, but we'll get to that.
Let's get to it.
Okay.
Was the Israel attack from Hamas worse than 10 9/11s?
Well, that seems a little extraordinary, but in terms of actual people based on the size of their population, you could make that argument. But at the same time, it feels like it's war propaganda to me. You're comparing it to 9/11. You're talking about dead babies. You pull on emotional heartstrings of Americans to get them prepared.
Well, let me jump in. Let me jump in right there.
Yeah,
I have no problem with being descriptive.
Yeah,
what's wrong with being descriptive? You call it propaganda, but it's being using articulate words, like just being bombastic or drama, or it's not exaggeration though per se. I mean, propaganda versus just angrily telling the story. I don't know. I don't know that this sets off my outrage alerts all that much.
But for the average
if we can agree 1,000 people, 14, yeah. I think it's 1,400 people were slaughtered on that day. Either that happened or that didn't. We're under the working assumption that is accurate.
It was 700 at the time, and then I don't know how many after that. But it's at least 700 Jewish. We had 3,000 people die on 9/11, but of course, in a country that had 280 million people or whatever, it's not as just trying to give you an idea of the numbers, because, and even as Charlie Kirk says, Israel's the size of New Jersey. So if you have 700 people die, that's a significant number. Absolutely.
Okay, so the answer to that is kind of, I mean, it's.
Then you got Anthony Blinken saying the same thing.
First, let me say this with regard to 9/11. If you look at this in proportion to the size of Israel's population, this is the equivalent of 10 9/11s. That's how big and how devastating this attack has been.
Okay, so there's many parallels.
Wasn't there a joke on South Park about that? Something about like a million 9/11s or something. I can't remember exactly what the line was. I think they were comparing it to worse than a million 9/11s. And it was like just trying to be bombastic. I don't remember exactly the line. I wish.
Yeah.
I wish
No
I did.
worries.
But if you can remind me in the comments, let me know. Was that a thing that happened? Did Trey Parker and Matt Stone do that? So, I mean, it's really bad.
Yeah, so looking like they're going to pull into a huge war, and they are bombing the shit out of Gaza. I guess some hospital got blown up with like 500 dead people. I don't want to jump to conclusions yet, because there's people saying that it was done by Israel, and there's some people say it was Hamas and it was an accident. They accidentally blew up their own hospital. I don't know how they did that, but it could be. So before I rush to any judgment, because
Jocelyn.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say Jocelyn here in the comments section. She says, Hamas attacks Israel, likely funded by Iran's $6 billion they just got from America. Then Israel attacks Gaza with jet planes and bombs they got from America. The war machine is in perfect balance.
Yeah, they always find a way to make money. And if they can get the conflicts rolling, then they can fund both sides and make a fortune. Divide and conquer.
What kind of demon do you have to be to think this is okay?
I don't know. It's a twisted society. It's all about making this artificial money. And we will destroy each other over it.
We lose our humanity in search of these conjured pieces of paper.
Maybe they're not human. I don't know. Could be demons in human suits. I have no idea. At this point, I think it might be a spiritual war. I'm not even that religious, or it's a simulation, Brian.
All right. Yeah. Defense contractors always stay fat and happy when bombs are dropped. Well, let's pivot to this one, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that a ground offensive could face retaliation from Iran?
Yeah, that's absolutely. I don't think anyone's just going to sit around. It's horrifying. Iran is out of Al Jazeera. Iran warning of preemptive action against Israel amid the Gaza war. Tehran, the capital of Iran, has warned that a ground offensive on the besieged Gaza Strip would be met with a response from other fronts. So Israel has a right to defend themselves, but if they retaliate too heavy-handed, that's going to bring other people into the fray. And then who knows who else is going to jump in, or the United States is going to get sucked in. Like, this has a opportunity to really spill over across the globe and lead to our own destruction. So Israel is doing their ground offensive. And depending on how that goes, you could be seeing some retaliation from Israel or Lebanon, or who knows. But it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So all possible options and scenarios are there for Hezbollah. Naturally, resistance leaders will not allow the Zionist regime to take any action in Gaza. And when it feels reassured about Gaza, move on to other resistance areas in the region, according to Iranian Foreign Minister Hossein Amirabdollahian said in a live broadcast to state TV on Monday.
If you change that sentiment just a little bit, though, what if you just take that global?
Yeah.
I mean, all across there, it's been labeled a fake refugee crisis meant to get the sleeper cells in position for a global takeover.
Perhaps that as could be the big end game by the globalists to depopulate and take over whoever's left. So
That's so promising.
And this is another contentious interview. I almost forgot about it. It doesn't make things better when these Israeli PMs just have no sympathy at all for innocent Palestinians. Let's take a quick look at this because this was.
And what about those Palestinians in hospital who are on life support and babies and incubators whose life support and incubator will have to be turned off because the Israelis have cut the power to Gaza?
Are you seriously keep on asking me about Palestinian civilians? What's wrong with you? Have you not seen what happened? We're fighting Nazis. We don't target them. Now, the world can come and bring them anything they want. If you want to bring them electricity, I'm not going to feed electricity or water to my enemies. If anyone else wants, that's fine. We're not responsible for them.
This is the point.
But you
this
keep
is the
on.
point.
I want to tell you. No, listen. You listen to me right now. I've heard you enough.
No, I understand. We're trying to have a conversation here. Listen, this is my program. This is my show. And I am asking the questions. You're raising your voice, and I've asked you, and we've already stopped, please, and let me finish. We've already distinguished between Hamas.
I want to tell you, shame on you.
You're trying to speak over me. No.
We are not. Shame on you.
It's nothing about shame. We're trying to have a conversation about a very serious situation here, and you are refusing to address it.
Jump over immediately. And again, you
absolutely
use
not.
Palestinian narrative.
You are incorrect.
They are responsible because I can tell you that when the UK,
absolutely
when Great Britain was fighting the Nazis during World War II, no one asked what's going on in Dresden.
I'll say a lot of these Israeli people, they're not used to getting pushback. They're used to just being able to say whatever they want. So in a little bit of pushback, they start freaking out. Like, don't you know who we are?
The Nazis targeting London, and you targeted Dresden. So
shame
on you if you go on with that false narrative.
We're not talking about that, and in hindsight, many people have listened. And in hindsight, many people have readdressed that kind of carpet bombing.
Oh, I see. Now you're Mr. Clean. Shame on you.
Absolutely not. And I'm not. Listen, Mr. Bennett, I am not in the military. I am a journalist asking you questions. Are you going to let me ask you a question, or you continue shouting at me? We've already distinguished between Hamas and the Palestinians. I'm asking you very directly.
What do you want to ask?
Is going to be done to make sure that those innocent people don't get killed as innocent Jewish people were killed on Saturday?
Well, we're going to target Hamas, and we're telling Hamas that if you use anyone as your human shield and you're going to shoot at us using human shields, that it's their responsibility. Listen, mister, if someone is shooting at your children and hiding behind a human shield, will you shoot back or not? I'm asking you a question. Someone's shooting at your children, but hiding behind civilians. What's the answer? What would you do?
Mr. Bennett, I'm not here to answer your questions. I've asked you your questions, and you have not answered them directly.
All
right, we'll stop. We'll leave it there. Naftali Bennett.
I don't know, Blake. No, you know what? I don't know. I didn't.
Here, okay, well, go to a controversial tweet here. I'm not saying I
hang
agree.
On, let me hang on. Let me just react to that a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
You're getting attacked, and you're in a war now. Why would you help the enemy? The people that are in Palestine are either they're either intentionally or maybe they can't control the radical element of where they are. But
no, it's a complicated issue.
They're in a war,
carpet bombing, right? I get you. They got to
turn off the water and power. Yeah, I got some cockroaches to go take care of. You killed 1,400 of us the other day. Kid gloves are off. I'm going underneath I'm going to go into the crawl space and figure out where that noise is coming from. And it might get ugly. I mean, that's war. That's why you try to avoid war. That's why the Abraham Accords were just about keeping shit cool and just leaving things be and trying to get along with people in the world as you found it. That group from there broke all of that. They kind of lose any sort of moral high ground. I hear what this guy's saying. How do you help an enemy during a hot war? The bodies aren't even cold yet. 1,400 in a day is jacked up, especially for a tiny little place like that.
Well, I think it was it 700 on Israel, and then they killed 1,400 in Palestine by all the bombing? Or am I off on the numbers?
I don't know.
I'm sure it's been a lot more.
Like, that's the other point. It's fog of war. Nobody's going to really know any of this shit. Like, we're getting bits and pieces.
Right, like the fog of war, like, they immediately jump into it. It came from Netanyahu's office. That came from the highest up, is to say that, they killed 40 babies. And then they go and then they cut off the power. And they're saying, with the incubators and all that. So how many babies were killed in Palestine? Does that make it okay? Is that justifiable now? So it's a war crime to cut people off from their water and food and supplies and power.
I mean, what does war crime mean? A war is domination and destruction and eradication and survival.
Yeah, it's a mess.
That's what happens in war. I don't know.
Is that the proper way to do it? Here's a controversial.
The proper way to do it would be to snuff out Hamas before they do this type of stuff. Proper thing to do is to not let them operate out of your damn country. That's the proper thing to do. Unless you believe that Israel should have never been there in 1948, and they must be removed at all costs with all sorts of melee damage along the way. Collateral damage be damned. It's one or the other. Which one is it? I don't like hearing that last one at all. That doesn't work.
All right. Well, what do you think about this one? Trying to compare Zionists to Nazis, because they keep throwing that out, because that's one of the other things that guy said, is that like the Hamas are like Nazis. And there's nothing good about it. I'm not a pro-terrorist by any means. So it's just interesting that this guy put this up here, comparing Nazis to the Zionists. One's founded on Aryan supremacy. One's founded on Jewish supremacy. Nazis expelled millions from their homes.
Wait, hold on, really quick.
Israel.
What? They're comparing Nazis
with the Zionists. I'm not saying it's accurate. I'm just saying.
What was the last one you said there?
Okay, well, one is founded on Aryan supremacy. One is founded on Jewish supremacy.
Okay, pause there.
Okay.
The definition I went with didn't say anything about supremacy. It said they want to keep the country as it is.
So it's fine. That could be exaggerated, but it's also a Jewish.
What do you mean exaggerated? Is it?
Well, is it an apartheid state or not, Ryan? Right. But is it all of equally, or is it the Jews have one region and the Palestinians are in the jammed into the ghettos of Gaza? I'm not saying it's accurate. I'm just pointing it out because it's interesting and it's on the the same page with the subjects that we're talking about.
I mean, it sounds like you're siding with the other side, and it's hard to separate Palestine from Hamas. The eggs are so scrambled together.
Right. I'm skeptical. I don't like Hamas, but I'm also very skeptical of Zionists. That's not anti-Jew.
And that was my earlier question, trying to define the term. If that term is appropriate, I didn't hear anything about supremacist in there, and that's an important.
Yeah, but it's an apartheid state. It's an apartheid state
because of what Egypt is doing by not letting them out of there.
And Palestinians are down here. So would that be
and
similar to
Egypt
Nazis?
Is there?
Well, hey, that's a different story. I don't want to. You tell me, then you inform me on how that's how they should respond.
No, I'm just trying to understand it. Like I said,
I'm not on pros Hamas side. I just want to see peace in the region. But yeah, we can complain all day about Hamas and terrorism, but
it comes back to this.
What are
Blake, do you
Zionists?
think Israel should have been given that land in 1948?
If we could do it all over again, no, that's not, because that would be we wouldn't have all the problems that came out of it. Is life better? Is the world better because the Zionist Jew, the Ashkenazi Jews have that region, or would it have been better off if everybody could, potentially live in peace? So they can, so the Orthodox Jews can live in peace with Christians and Muslims, like they do in Syria or in some of those other regions in the Middle East.
And then since
or of the Zionists that are kind of the more extreme version.
And since we can't go back in time to the 40s, do they have to leave now?
Well, what would you rather have? Do we want to bring do we want to destroy Gaza and then bring the Palestinian refugees to the United States? Or would it be better if we brought the Israelis into the United States? I think that would be a better mix of the cultures. If we had to pick one or the other, like I said, but last week, I think I'd rather have the Israelis move over to the United States, relocate, than the Palestinians.
So that next question, we should wipe out Gaza and take their refugees. You would disagree with that, or agree?
Oh, on a very big surprise, would I? No, I wouldn't. This is actually put out by Joel Breitbart, or Joel Pollack of Breitbart. Israel should wipe out Gaza and the U.S. should take the refugees. So that's the Breitbart editor-at-large announced he was breaking the Sabbath to call for Israel to ethnically cleanse Gaza, and now he's calling for the U.S. to take in the refugees. Give them 48 hours to evacuate women, children, and the elderly, destroy everything that remains, plow it under, and annex it to Israel. And then we should give civilians from Gaza temporary refuge during the war a week later, in a GOP effort to ban the U.S. from accepting Palestinian refugees. And then on that note, let me also bring up...
So how do you feel, but before we go to that next one, how do you feel about that? Because we've talked about, okay, they both have to go, or Israel has to go. How do you feel about the people in Palestine? Like, you guys have had 70 years to get along, and you won't get over this shit. You got to go. You have to go. It's all Israel now. How do you feel about that?
Well, I said last week, I think if you pulled the Palestinians out, it would just create a vacuum, and then other people like the Palestinians would take that region. So it would just be more of the same to me. It would just be a conflict of whoever takes that region getting along with Israel. Whereas I think if you took Israel out, and that would be a more compatible culture, we could all get along fine here, and that would put an ease to an end of the conflict over there. In my mind,
I just don't see that. There's enough of the people.
So why do you think that
there's enough people who are involved?
So do you think there's more peace and stability with Israel?
There are enough people who are involved with caliphate ideology that want to dominate their person. We did a story about how.
Okay, so who are you going to put there? So
we did a story about former adult actress Mia Khalifa.
Yep.
Did a scene that some people in the religion did not care for. And so they want to terminate her as a human being. People who don't understand that other people can mock Jesus Christ all you want on South Park. It doesn't mean you have the right to go kill them. There are people that have a very aggressive, violent, dominant ideology. So just hearing, well, if Israel wasn't there, things would be peaceful. That's just not even remotely accurate. That's not even close to true. I've heard it a few times. I think that's a point that doesn't really.
Fine. Well, then tell me, Brian, who are you going to put there then? You're going to need a buffer.
No, I mean, look, put them. Like I said, if they can't get along, you turn that into a Christian country, and then take all of Palestine and take all of Israel, and they can go into North or South Dakota or somewhere in Alberta or somewhere in Antarctica, or build a
Wyoming or North Dakota, and that's it.
Build a floating libertarian island off the coast of the Mediterranean for all I friggin' care. Make it with trash. And so it's a big recycling project, and you have 2 big floating islands, perfect coastlines, resort opportunities, beaches, and equal opportunity to succeed, but they're outside of small rocket fire exchange. I mean, these are 2 petulant children that will not stop attacking each other. And each side has a case. And there's bad people that are doing things on behalf of the greater group in both sides, and they don't want to claim that. That's the story of this. It's once again, it's a 4-way race. That's the point of this show. We said the Democrats are going to be splintered between whoever they put up, the Biden type with the RFK Jr. type. The Republicans are probably going to try to boot Trump for their party and put Nikki Haley opening up for Ron DeSantis on their ticket. It's going to be a 4-way race. And so Israel and Palestine, maybe they're normal. And then they got their idiots over here and their idiots over there, and they're all conniving with geopolitics, money, influence, power, control, and the military-industrial complex, with the bankers funding both sides so that they can pop more stuff off. And once we get distracted, that's when the next plan can go into action. Like, all of these things can be simultaneously true, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be, this is trying to find a solution to this, to a problem that's been going on for a long time. There is no easy solution to that. But I think I like Joel, but I think he's a bit off on this issue. And I don't think wiping out this whole region and then bringing in the refugees is going to do anybody any good. So I don't know, but nobody's talking about bringing the Israelis here. But I think that would be the one thing that would, not guarantee peace, but the most likely to succeed. Although I'm sure they would not want to leave, and that would be a. Otherwise, what else are we going to do? How are we going to get?
Yeah, and I would disagree with that. I would just disagree that it would make much of a difference. It would make a difference. It would, but it's a continuation of a very slippery slope of geopolitical domination and control. But anyway, okay, what did Nikki Haley have to say here? She's one of the Fox News Republican golden childs that they keep propping up instead of backing President Trump, which leads me to believe they're not going to back Trump and they're going to put these 2 clowns in. What's Nikki Haley up to?
Well, I'm shocked because she's arguing to bring 1 million Hamas-supporting Palestinians to the United States from Gaza, where over 68% of the population supports terror strikes on Israel. So again, this is a little biased. I mean, I do like the Gateway Pundit for a lot of things, but they do get some things, I think, inaccurate, a little bit extremist on one end or another. But this is interesting. So it's interesting to see Joe Pollak and Nikki Haley both calling for, bringing the Palestinians here. I just don't think these are compatible cultures. I think they're better. I mean, it'd be nice if they could be taken in somewhere else, but who's going to fill that vacuum? I don't know. Or do we just give it all to Israel? I don't know. I'm up for a solution that doesn't involve genocide of either side and peace. I just don't know if we can find that.
Those Abraham Accords were pretty peaceful until Hamas did what Hamas did. Things were pretty peaceful for a while. That was a pretty strong effort to calm things down and just act like adults. Thanks, Hamas.
Yeah, no, I can't support that. I'm surprised to see so many people that are supporting that. I can't support extremists of either side. It just shouldn't be something that I don't know. It's dividing and conquering us. But there it is.
All right.
So.
Well, I think we got 2 topics left here. A ground offensive. We covered the ground offensive, right? The retaliation from Iran.
Yep.
We got 1 topic left. Supporters of Hamas should be jailed or deported. What say you?
Wasn't that kind of part of? Okay, yeah. Here we go. That's another one. trying to get organized here. I've been jumping around on the topics here, but let's pull. This was another controversial one. This is out of the United Kingdom. Their prime minister, oops, double action here. Rishi Sunak declaring support for Hamas should be a crime punishable with up to 14 years in prison. I don't know how we came up with that exact number. I told reporters Monday it's that if you support Hamas, it's a crime punishable for 14 years. That was during a visit to a Jewish school in London. Says he's determined to ensure our Jewish community is able to feel safe on our streets. There is no place in our society for anti-Semitism, and we will do everything we can to stamp it out. And where it happens, it will be met with the full force of the law. So the video that where he said it is apparently unavailable, and perhaps it's embarrassing, and there's been backlash. But I mean, if a Hamas is committing a terrorist attack and doing something violent to somebody or vandalism or whatever, yeah, then maybe that's just a normal, 14-year prison term no matter what. So maybe that should be okay. But just, saying you support Hamas shouldn't be a crime punishable by that much, I wouldn't think.
What are some other murderous groups? Let's ask that of. I always ask that in any racist accusation. It's like, all right, well, let's imagine if the people were different, how would the story be? So
let's deport all Nazis. I'm good with that. Get rid of out of the United States. Anybody who's a Nazi supporter should be deported. They should not be here. We fought a war against Nazis, and although the left tries to, say that make America great again, Trump supporters are Nazis, it's total bullshit. And but those people that are terrorists should not be here. That's against the Constitution. It's against
Hamas,
our Bill of Rights. It's against our culture. And they should be gone.
And Hamas is equal to a Nazi, right?
Well, I don't know. Could we compare like that?
You don't know?
Tweet I sent you. No, that tweet I just sent you that we showed earlier was Zionists and Nazis. Well, we can put Hamas on there. Let's just say Nazism, Zionism, and Hamas are bad. I condemn all three.
Okay.
I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I don't want to throw. It's hard to throw Zionists.
That wasn't part of the definition. I asked for the definition earlier.
Okay.
It just said people that support a Jewish state in Israel as it stands. That's all that means. How do you get Nazi out of that? Hamas is a terrorist organization. Murderous, like hell bent on death and destruction. That's a Nazi. That's the same.
Okay,
right?
let's go back onto this again, Brian, since we were going to go over this. Now you follow along, and I didn't finish it. The Nazis are founded on Aryan supremacy. The Zionists are founded on Jewish supremacy.
And I stopped that because that's not part of the definition. That wasn't.
So you don't think that the apartheid state and the open air prison, you think that Palestinians are equal to the Jews in that country? Yes or no? So whether they don't say supremacy, no.
Well, that's the claim in this.
We all know it's an apartheid state, Brian.
That it's Jewish supremacy. I don't know that that's.
So you don't think it's an apartheid? Do you think the Palestinians are equal? Do you think if you grew up as a person of Palestinian descent in Israel, do you think you have the same rights? Do you think everything's great? Do you think it matters if you're born in Israel and you're a Jew versus a Palestinian? Do you think those are equal?
Do I think?
No, they're not. Okay, they're not. Okay,
that doesn't.
Like let's mix around the words and say supremacy, but I'm saying that this is okay.
Mincing words. The words are important. So go to the rest of your points. We've got hung up on this one enough. We can agree.
Okay, so Nazis expelled millions from their homes, and Zionists expelled maybe not millions, but maybe the equivalent of millions just within Israel. Nazis put racial groups in ghettos and camps, and you've got Israel putting racial groups in ghettos and camps like Gaza.
And I'm just asking the question: isn't there another side of the camp that's Egypt, and they could easily open this up, but they're doing it too? I think that's.
Are they? But are they living in Egypt? Are there regions in Egypt where they are shoving their undesirables into a densely populated ghetto?
Keep going. There's more on there.
Okay, you're dodging the question. That's fine. No, that's it. They're collecting collective punishments and using dehumanizing language. One, or they're getting rid of people. Well, whether it's by gas chambers or carpet bombing.
Well, I just thought it was common knowledge that Hamas and Nazis are the same. I wouldn't put someone who just wants the state of Israel to exist anywhere near the same.
That's where I'm throwing this out there. So I don't have any love for any of these people. I think they're all kind of extremists in their own way. Not to say that they're all roughly equal, but it's an interesting comparison, and I don't stand with any of them.
Okay.
All right.
It's just it's trying to figure out, is Hamas equal to Nazism? Like if we want to expel Nazis and crazy violent people, I mean,
right.
The Justice Department is looking at people with Gadsden flags and Trump flags the same way. It's just a way that you aim it at a particular segment of your population, a particular portion of your demographic.
Okay, how about this? This is an interesting comment from somebody very outspoken against Zionism on Twitter, Lucas Gage. He says he's just going to say what everyone else is thinking. That's up to you. He won't say what people are afraid to say. He says, I don't care what did or didn't happen during the Holocaust. It doesn't give Israelis the right to Holocaust anyone else today, especially people who had nothing to do with it. Many Jewish people keep appealing to the Holocaust as some kind of get out of genocide free card. He's sick of it. I know everyone else is too. And then they have the chutzpah to compare the tiny Israeli death toll to those of Hiroshima or 9/11. These people are truly unbelievable. And it is a little obviously biased, but there's...
Well, yeah, like you said, is it the percentage of people that are there, it being 10 times the amount of people percentage-wise, it's just it's the percent. You took out that big of an amount of the people that were there. I don't think that's an unfair thing to say. Yes, it gets so cringy when the talking points go out and then you see everybody saying the same talking points. But also, if it's accurate, what are we getting hung up on?
Okay, well, you also said Israel, or you said Hamas is equal to Nazism. Well, one of the big trending hashtags, at least when we started this show, was Israel is the new Nazism. And I'm just scrolling through here is because the Gaza hospital was bombed, 500 killed plus casualties so far. That's one thing. I wonder how Western so-called civilization would react if they destroyed a hospital in Kyiv instead of Gaza, where the slaughtered civilians were Ukrainian, or the terror implemented by Israel were implemented by Russia. This is what's Western hypocrisy. And this person's obviously mad at the Zionists because they talked about the 40 dead babies going on and on and on. But look at all the dead babies that are stacked up in Palestine. Is that okay? So no, there's a lot. So you can I think it's fair to make the comparisons. And I'm not anti-Jew or anything, but I'm also very skeptical of some of these people pushing this propaganda. One of them we mentioned because we interviewed this guy, Charles Johnson, at the RNC in 2016 at a Milo Yiannopoulos event. But he used to work for Breitbart. He's prominent in a lot of those media outlets. And he wants to be fully on record to say that he saw Ben Shapiro receiving tasking from Israeli intelligence connections to Netanyahu when he worked next to him at Breitbart. And when he asked him about it, he said he just always kept close ties. Maybe it's time for Ben to register under FARA. I don't know. Is he a foreign agent? I always thought Ben Shapiro was a lot more loyal to the Zionists than he would be to Americans. And he's basically, you got to agree with me or you hate Jews. I don't like a lot of the stuff that he puts out there. I think it's time for these guys to defend themselves and defend Zionism, and for people to understand the difference between these different factions of Judaism. Are they controlled oppositions outing themselves?
All right. So once again, the distinction and the difference being that some Jews don't want the current state of Israel.
I don't agree with what their state of Israel. Yes, that government is something totally different from their religion.
And some Jews do want to keep the state of Israel.
The Zionists, yes, that want that homeland. Which,
I mean,
I know that wanting their own homeland, but
I mean, I know that word is used as a pejorative, but it's like they want the state that they've had their whole life. I don't on the surface, I don't see that as a radical cabal on its surface. I don't know. I hate this topic.
I know. It's been forced into, it's been forced on us again, but we have to call it. We have to talk about it. And it's all that's consuming the news cycle, and it might be the end of our civilization if we get other countries involved into the final war, if you will.
So if Israel is overrun with factions from the north and factions from the south, and you have Hamas and you have Hezbollah and you have Jordanians and you have ISIS and you have every group you could imagine. This ends one way. We either, this can only end one way if they will not stop until they're wiped off the map. And this keeps happening and keeps happening. So either they are wiped off the map or they're not. I would prefer to see less death on on Earth. Is that a radical opinion these days?
Yeah, we just can't get along, it seems like, or we're just being divided and conquered by some dark forces at the top.
Or is it that Hamas can't get along? That things were peaceful for years?
Well, hey, Syria would be a great example. Why can't Christians, Muslims, and Jews all live in peace? And in some regions, they do. But you can't have the radicals in there.
Okay. Well, we're not going to solve Israel-Palestine.
Not today.
Not today.
We tried, but we covered it.
We did.
I don't think there's much else. I think that pretty much covers it. We didn't even get to the speaker. I don't know. I think that's pretty much the last issue of the day. But is there? I don't think they've announced. Jim Jordan is still short, I believe, of his votes required to become the new speaker. I think that's it. That was, otherwise just little tiny issues that feel so small compared to these the heavy ongoings of Israel right now.
And should this have happened in the first place? Should 1948 have occurred? I don't know. I've heard arguments on it. I've heard it. But we can't. Like, that's the thing. We cannot go backward and do that. It's not even an option.
It would mess up the space-time continuum, and then who knows what other problems that would cause if we did.
No, the Cleveland Indians would have won that World Series either in 95 or in 97 or in 2006 or in 2016. We had 4 great opportunities.
Once again, we're back to Cleveland sports.
Yeah, we are. It's what I
full
did.
circle. We started this show, and now we're going to end the show.
Yeah, I'll put the hat back on. I took the hat off because it was casting a shadow, and it was very jaded, as it were. But anyway, okay.
All right.
Speaking of shaded and jaded, yeah, we're just, it's like President Trump was asked, are you not going to say that you support Ukraine in this war? Don't you support Ukraine? Don't you want them to win? He goes, I want people to stop dying, okay? I want them to stop dying. In China, I want them to stop dying.
We're not even mentioning that war anymore. I did have a story in my stack. It looks like Putin's kind of saying, hey, it's like the counteroffensive by Ukraine has completely failed. And I think they've lost like 90,000 soldiers. Could be propaganda, but notice they're just completely removed from the news cycle.
So do we declare it over?
Not yet. But I mean, once winter sets in, it's going to be, which is probably getting pretty cold out there.
They say that, but wouldn't it be easier in the winter?
Not necessarily. Depends on the style, but the counteroffensive is going to stop.
Counteroffensive. What we're doing meddling in Ukraine, what we're doing meddling across the world. Yeah, I know Israel, America's 51st state. You know, I get it, having a right to be annoyed by that. And I think, you know, to some degree, I think the Jews have a right to be annoyed with how Islam treated them in World War II as they were being targeted and erased by Hitler. I get it. Yeah. It's very complicated. I just want people to stop dying. Just stop dying. Stop fighting.
It's too bad we just didn't have them come over here to begin with. Be like, you know, it's that Gaza, that whole area over there is kind of dicey. Let's just bring you to America, and you guys can go wherever you want. Or maybe if they want to have their own, we could have like you know, Little Italy. We could have like little Jerusalems and all of the major cities. I don't know.
Yeah, we had that in Los Angeles. Areas. Yeah, that was La Brea. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, right up on La Brea. It was all Hasidic Jews. I say about Los Angeles all the time, you know, for being a progressive city, I don't think a lot of people really understand what that means, but it's essentially open the bag of Skittles, turn it upside down on the table, and you put the green over here, the yellow here, the blue here, the orange, the yellow, whatever, like, you give them their area. I signed loan docs in Little Ethiopia. You know, I definitely the Jewish area on La Brea. I lived in what one of my coworkers called where the bougie black people live. I'm like, what? Where the bougie black people? Yeah, it's where the well-to-do black people live over there in Baldwin Hills. Those are nice homes, and it was predominantly black. Fun fact: it used to be Jewish, but then they went to Beverly Hills. You know, so Beverly Hills and La Brea are the two different kind of areas. But like, yeah, that's kind of what LA is. It's a lot of enclaves. But now you see what's going on with this fake refugee situation, and there's enclaves where, whether it's England or France or Germany, they're no-go zones. They've effectively been taken over, whether it's the Somalis in Columbus, Ohio, whether it's the groups up in Minnesota, right? St. Paul.
Little Mogadishu. Yep. That's not a good mix, not necessarily.
What is it? St. Paul, or is it like, where is it specifically? Minneapolis.
Yeah, and St. Cloud. There's a few regions. Not that people. It's
Dearborn, Michigan.
Mix. It's just not. Yeah, it's two very different cultures.
Dearborn, Michigan is Persian. It's like we're getting enclaves over here, and it's like, I don't know. I like there to be an American identity. I had a guy in an Uber. We got to talking. He was from India. I won't say his name. He was cool. I liked him. He reminded me of that dude on Parks and Rec. You know, that Indian guy. What's his name? That comedian.
I know what you're talking about, but I've never seen the show. I know of it. I just never had time
what
to go
is
into
his
it.
name?
But,
they tried to cancel him recently. Anyway,
libertarian guy. Yep. Whatever. Yeah.
No, not Ramaswamy. But
no, I know. But yeah.
You know, he was saying he came over here legally in 2017, and it took him 5 years to become a citizen. And he doesn't like what's going on. He doesn't like this unbridled illegal immigration. And we were talking, and he can't stand what Joe Biden, the decisions this is the first election he's going to get to vote in. He became a citizen last year, and he can't stand what Joe Biden's doing to ruin America. And he's a Trump supporter. And I said, good, tell all your friends. He's like, I don't have friends. He's like, people don't understand that when people like me think how I think. You know, a lot of people I spend time around, they don't get it. I'm like, well, brother, we need you. You better go talk some sense into some of these people. Because you know, I prefer the Trump strategy of those Abraham Accords. That was pretty nice and peaceful. I think we can do that. I don't think Israel needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. Maybe there's a way to not do that. Maybe there's a way to calm down what's going on in Gaza. I don't know, but you know, I just hearing that story from that recent legal immigrant who is anti-illegal alien, who is anti-Biden. Maybe there's a little bit of hope. Maybe there's a little shimmer, maybe a glimmer of, but I don't know, man. This stuff just feels so chaotic and out of control. I don't know how we pull our heads out of this one, Blake. Are you hopeful?
No, not really. Not with the leadership in charge. No, not at all. So I'm kind of the black pilled now. I went from red pilled to black pilled. Red pilled thinking I could solve all this. I'm a problem solver. I'd be good at this. Let me have a shot at it. And then I just no, it's been a big struggle ever since, and it just seems to get worse. I try to be a voice of reason and common sense, but I'm just shunned, a pariah, wasting time. Perhaps. I don't know. But it's been fun. It's got to cover the news cycle.
Yeah, and Deb from SAC is saying Trump has been saying for a long time that this is the most dangerous time we're living in and we are headed for World War III. Yeah, man. I mean, here's where we are, right? Yep. Jocelyn is saying she hopes there will be divine intervention. We're out of options due to the KM and DS. What's that?
Khazarian Mafia and Deep State.
Oh, wow.
Khazarian Mafia would be these Zionist Ashkenazis. Well, which we've kind of been discussing, and the Deep State, which are basically,
So Zionist just means someone who wants to have the current state of Israel, or they're evil people? Because they're always linked to.
I don't want to say they're evil, but it's kind of like the leadership, at the top. And why is Netanyahu still there? I thought he was supposed to step down. He's gone. It's time for fresh blood. And he just never goes away. And then he just keeps wanting to do power grabs. And here he is again. And as soon as the walls are closing in, boom, right on cue. We got attacked and the defenses are down. There's 6 hours of raping and pillaging and invading. And now we got to go 40 dead babies. Well, we got to go carpet bomb Gaza. Like, really? Let's give this guy more power? I don't know. So, there might be something to that.
Once again, I think you and I we differ on the importance of 40 dead babies. I think 1,400, 700. I think that attack is worthy of
pushing that, and he's got his minions like Ben Shapiro pushing that narrative, and they're actually using that as a weapon and going around and saying, "Don't you care about 40 dead babies? Like we got to go jump into a conflict." Like, let's kill Hamas now because 40 dead babies. But then, wait a second, where are the 40 dead babies? That'd be awful, but did it happen? No, they are knowingly pushing propaganda, and that's what I have a problem with. And so they've had to walk that one back. Even Biden said that. And then they had to go, oh, well, actually, no, we didn't really see that. Might not have happened. But that was used for justification, so that they could go and indiscriminately go for their genocidal attack on Gaza. That's what they wanted. So
it's well documented over time that severe acts of violence have been perpetrated specifically to draw a much larger conflict, a much larger war. I get that. I'm 100% in
same
agreement.
Playbook as the Gulf War.
We all know
they took them off incubators and they killed them. No, they didn't. But that sure got the people fired up to go into a war. It's effective. So he knows what he's doing.
Well, I just checked the news on X, and I did not see that we have gotten any more progress on the House Speaker. I guess there are 20 Republicans holding it up. So, maybe by Thursday's show, Blake, we will know who the speaker is. And are you okay with it being Jim Jordan?
Yeah, I think they can live with that for now. I mean, I'd love to see Trump. But, I saw one guy, a Democrat from the 2000 eras, Brad something, I forget, was saying that George Bush Jr. W should be the House Speaker. I'm like, are you kidding me? I can't believe the old guard Democrats are actually cozying up with the neocons against Trump. It's bizarre.
We're living in strange times, good sir. But that's why you got to follow us. That's why you have to follow the reporting and we're hashing this out. We are trying to approach this from intellectually honest positions.
Yes.
We're trying here. We're trying. We've been around the block. We've seen this game before. It's a lot of recycled. Once again, it's that Janet Yellen versus the character, the albino, from Princess Bride. It's recycled characters. It's recycled plot lines. It's essentially why Hollywood is failing. It's a lot of unoriginal bullshit. Start a war, fund the war, fund both sides of the war, destroy and then recreate, problem, solution. You know, it's all scripted and it's all crazy and it's all unnecessary. And maybe there's a way we can break free from this. Maybe there's a way that we can kind of put the pieces of the Legos, just kind of take the pieces apart and build something that works, because this just doesn't work. Globally, this shit just doesn't work. Deb is saying it's propaganda and lies, and we still haven't learned a thing. I mean, we're trying.
People have a short memory. Half the population doesn't pay any attention whatsoever. And then we've got so many elements that are just that are on board with it, that capitalize on that.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah, it's been quite a struggle, but here we are.
But that's why you need to follow us, because we're gonna try to put our thinking caps on and
solve all the world problems by this end of this week. All right.
Brian and Blake save the world.
Yes.
Make sure you follow Blake, by the way. He is at TV's Blake Walley, Walley, and thenextlevelnews.com. And just do a search for all the places. The New American Media for what we do here. TNAM. Just search TNAM, search The New American Media, and search The Agree to Disagree Show. And you will find us on all the platforms that we have added to so far. And we're going to try to add more platforms moving forward as we still just try. Yeah, as we wash, rinse, and repeat. How about that? We banter, we rinse, we repeat. Yes, we'll have to. Maybe that should be a phrase, something we could put on hats. Jocelyn saying we're in a new cycle of propaganda. Responding to Debbie. Is it Debbie? Deborah? Debster?
Debster. Here you go. Yeah,
Deborino making Debbies.
Yeah, for sure.
Deb.
It's great to have Deb and Jocelyn and everybody here, and Kenneth and
making copies.
Yes.
Deborah Reno.
Oh, we missed one from Scam. Okay.
We missed
everybody
one.
And everybody watching. Yes. And who knows? And all the lurkers.
Yeah, we love your comments. Are there any random comments that struck your attention, Blake? I really haven't been following the.
Yeah, we haven't been running the chat overlay recently, but it keeps getting reset, so it's kind of annoying. So I'm trying to highlight as many comments as I can.
Once again, we're doing what we can with the limitations of Restream.
Scam, yes.
It's okay. It's good sometimes. You know.
Right.
Who's Scam? That's a new name. What do they have to say? What's that?
Bombing brown people from thousands of feet in the sky is not a war. We forgot Vietnam. Yeah, we forgot a bunch. There's been so many. But we missed that. I'm sorry about that. We try to get everybody included, but sometimes I am away and the chat overlay is not on. But we do hear and see most of your comments, and we thank you so much for your support, for being here through this epic shit show here on planet Earth, the greatest reality show in the galaxy. Well,
I will say
Jane and everybody. Did I forget? Is there anybody's name I didn't mention?
I think we have some of the smartest viewers, and
we have some great viewers. Yes,
great participation. I mean, you really help kind of keep us honest and toss ideas out there that are worth mentioning and considering, and it's all really appreciated. And we're gonna keep doing this. We're gonna ramp up our efforts. I met a guy at the football game, and he showed me. He said, "I cover the news," and he pulled up his TikTok. And he tapped his account. He had $3,900 in there. And he's like, look, I just, do a 60-second story, and I got 502,000 views here. I got this here. I got there. He's like, yeah, I'm making thousands of dollars doing this, and I just started it last month. I'm like, oh, so I guess maybe we need to get a burner phone, not link any of our personal information to it, get some TikTok action, and jump on that app as well, Blake. I had a bit of an epiphany. This guy just casually let me know that he's making waves, making guppies.
Well, that's the thing. That's going to help us, but we'll get to that because we have to find these little highlights and get more content instead of the long form shows. highlight clips that we can promote. Yes, whether it's on TikTok or Shorts or wherever we can.
So then let's put it out to our listeners. If anybody likes what we're doing and you just have editing acumen and you're like, hey, I like that part where you said that thing about the thing that I said, and you can find a 60-second clip and you'd feel like helping us break some of our shows down into some of our more memorable exchanges, please let us know, because we're looking for the TNAM team to expand so that we can do more things and conquer more domains, sir or madam. It's ma'am. Yes, any of you out there, we welcome your support. So follow us in all the places. Final words, Blake?
Nope, thenextlevelnews.com, the archives, and catch that the replay if you want. For anybody lurking or watching after, thank you so much, and we'll look forward to doing it again Thursday.
Yes, absolutely. We will let you know if that time is going to be perfect. I will see. It's been a bit of a fluid situation with time. We try to get it as close to 3 o'clock as we can. But yeah, we will be doing a show Thursday, hopefully, regardless. But we'll try to keep it at 3 o'clock as well. So, signing out from Planet Earth. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll talk to you again soon. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. All right, bye.